and welcome to Season 4, Episode 33 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in Lucha Underground history with match number 18 on our list, which is the dream match between Prince Puma and Rey Mysterio Jr. from the July 20th, 2016 edition of Lucha Underground, which was Ultima Lucha Dos Part 3. So, first year, Ultima Lucha was so successful. That was a two-night event. So, with Season 2, they made it a three-night event with this match, being the grand finale to close it out, which was interesting. They did a really good job building to this match. When Rey Mysterio came into Lucha Underground, they teased it at the end of Season 1. When he showed up in Season 2, I think this is the match that we all wanted to see. It was billed as a dream match. It absolutely is a dream match. Prince Puma played by Ricochet, the premier high flyer, of those mid-2010s for sure. Rey Mysterio Jr., I've mentioned this briefly before. I'm sure there will be a time where we really get into, Rey Mysterio at some point on this program, but I truly believe he is the absolute greatest professional wrestler of all time for so many different reasons. So you take, the most innovative, influential, high flyer of all time, against the best at that time, and you put it in this match. It was a worthy main event. They did a great job building it up with Prince Puma, who was the face of Lucha Underground all through Season 1, kind of taking a little bit of a step back in Season 2, but that, being used as the storyline here, where, he was linked up with Rey, through their relationship with Conan. Rey Mysterio, brought El Dragon Azteca Jr. into the fold and, kind of took him under his wing, and there was maybe a little bit of a jealousy there between, Puma and Azteca. Puma kind of started to get this chip on his shoulder, realizing that, maybe I'm better than Rey Mysterio ever was. We saw Puma kind of subtly go heel a little bit. He started to wear like black and red gear, as opposed to his, traditional yellow gear. So all of this led to this match where, technically, and we've talked so many times about this, where Lucha Underground doesn't shy away from doing face versus face matches. That's what we got here, the face versus face dream match, but there was that just underlying, aggression, almost that tweenerish sort of role that Puma was in at this time, and it made the match even better, right, with him having that little bit of an edge. Rey Mysterio, if you watch him in the WWE now, he is still just an elite level performer. It really is a testament to his abilities that he's had the longevity that he has, and he performs on such a high level now. That said, where he's at in the WWE now, are we ever going to see him, get the opportunity to have 25-minute main event matches, like this one ever again? I don't know. I hope so. Selfishly, I hope, before Rey's career is up, that we do get to see him maybe outside of the WWE bubble a little bit. There's plenty of guys in AEW and in Japan and in Mexico currently that I would love to see him mix it up with, much like with this match. I would kill for a singles match between Rey Mysterio and Phoenix. I hope that we get that at some point. I don't know if we will or not. I think a lot of it has to do with, Dominic, and, Rey obviously wants him to develop and feels that the WWE is a good spot for him to do that. So, we'll see. But this, if I go back, this was really the last time, Rey had the matches with Andrade on SmackDown that were really good and got some time, but really that main event position outside of the Hell in the Cell match with Reigns, which I didn't think was great, this was really the last time we got to see him in that role. So it's a very special match. Watching it now, I found it even better than I did at the time. At the time, I thought it was really good. The ending left a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth, but watching it in a vacuum, 5 years later, it really doesn't bother me at all. So interesting that Lucha Underground went with this for the main event. It was a dream match, of course, as we've stated. Normally, they would use Ultima Lucha, though, to be like all of these big feud enders, but they had Matanza as the champion at the time. He wasn't ready to lose the belt, so, you know, you don't really want to close with a Lucha Underground title match. It's going to leave people disappointed, so they went with this instead. Definitely the right decision at the time. The work in this match is incredible. It is so fluid, it is so intricate, it is so innovative. You know, it sounds funny to say that, you know, Rey held his own with somebody, but, you know, just given the you know, disparity in ages between the two, and how good Ricochet was at this point, you know, I think it could have been easy, you know, for Rey to be overshadowed a little bit, but he held his own, and they set this match up, and this is kind of the funny thing, and the thing that maybe, you know, in 2016 I wasn't super crazy about, is this match is really used as a showcase for Rey Mysterio, almost to kind of prove that he still has it. So at the time, you know, I kind of thought, well, like, why aren't they using this match to put Puma over, right? But Prince Puma really didn't need that in hindsight, because he got, you know, the monster push through season 1 with the title reign. You know, we knew, you know, later on that he was kind of wanting out of his contract and wanted to go to the WWE, and ultimately, you know, fell out with Lucha Underground anyways. So, I mean, taking that all into account, how special this match feels now, you know, with where Rey Mysterio is at, I actually, in hindsight, I think it was the right call to do the match this way, and I liked it a lot more now because of it. Some of the spots they do here are incredible, and they do a great job, too, at showing that, you know, Prince Puma, he's got Rey's number, and all of these things that have worked for Rey for so many years, you know, aren't really working on Puma. So we got like an early head scissors, and, you know, Puma does like a flip, like a resorte out of it, which, you know, was awesome. You know, Rey goes for another head scissors, and Puma turns it into the 10-sheet crash, right? Like the Gran Akuma kind of like reverse pancake, but like across both knees. Rey goes for like his head scissors over the top that, you know, he's used famously. He won the Royal Rumble with that, right? So he goes, you know, for that head scissors over, but Puma hangs on, and they end up on the floor with Puma on his feet and Rey still on his shoulders, which was unbelievable. But then, you know, Rey starts to pick up a little bit of momentum, realizes he has to think out of the box, so he turns that into a Rana into the apron. And then, you know, the spot where Rey often gets like slid on his belly out of the ring, you know, and kind of does that belly flop to the floor. He does that into a splash, which was really cool. We've seen him do that, you know, before, but not something, especially at this point, he was busting out much. So really, really cool. And again, a little bit different because you're used to Rey taking the bump, but, you know, not necessarily using it for offense. Just great sequence after great sequence after great sequence in this match. Rey hits a moonsault into a satellite DDT, which was awesome. They didn't go, you know, for the full-on moonsault DDT like Halloween Havoc 1997. That is a move that I think is really, really difficult to hit properly, and I've seen it screwed up a lot. So maybe for the best that they didn't go for that now, but, you know, they did their own take on it, which was really, really cool. They teased the Splash Mountain off the top, right? The famous finish that, you know, to that Halloween Havoc match with Rey and Eddie. You know, that Rey's used so many other times, too, against Psychosis and everybody else. You know, where they tease the Splash Mountain and Rey turns it into the Rana. But again, they do their own little twist on here where they tease it, they end up turning around, and Rey hits a reverse Hurricane Rana off the top. So again, you know, little homages to, you know, those classic Rey Mysterio spots, but with that more modern spin. Something that I thought was really cool is Puma has the 619 scouted in this match. I talked about Puma, you know, using the 619 in the build-up for this match against other people. So, you know, he has it scouted, and Rey actually hits it at one point kind of mid-match where Puma, like, goes for an Irish whip, and Rey uses the Tiger Feint off the ropes with the 619, but uses it into a kick into the stomach. And I just thought it was so cool and so unexpected. We're used to this kind of drawn out, you know, the drop toe hold into the ropes or whatever, the elaborate setup, and then Rey running off the ropes and hitting the 619. So to see it out of nowhere like that was really, really neat. Prince Puma gets a run of near falls in this match that are all so good. So Rey goes for like a diving run off the top, and Puma counters that into a Northern Lights suplex, rolls it into the vertical suplex for 2. Rey goes for the Quesadora Bulldog that he's famous for, and Puma just obliterates him with the lumbar check, right? Like Cedric Alexander's move. that kind of back suplex lift into the double knee backbreaker. Just ruins him with that and hits a gnarly Blue Thunder power bomb for 2. Again, a super good near fall. He avoids another 619, hits one of his own, right, which we talked about in the build-up to this match, and hits a springboard 450 for 2. He hits the Benadryller for 2. It's all really, really good because Puma has won matches throughout his run in Lucha Underground with all of these moves, so they were really effective near falls. Again, he gets frustrated that he's unable to put Rey away. He makes a critical mistake. He wastes way too much time going for the 630. He misses it. Rey hits a twisting snap Rana for the closest near fall of the match. It was incredible. And then our actual finish here was awesome too. So Rey goes for the 619 one more time, and this time Puma just defiantly blocks it, right? Like catches Rey's legs, you know, in the ropes and hulks him up, but Rey turns it into a reverse Canadian Destroyer. So Canadian Destroyer from a tombstone position, which you don't see a lot. It was wicked. Hits the 619 finally, and then does a variation on the West Coast pop, not off the springboard, but hitting it off the top. And if it's enough to hold Puma down for 3. It's just a really good finish. It showed that, you know, yes, Puma had Rey's number, had him scouted, you know, really was the better performer on this night, but that, you know, that youth and that inexperience was ultimately what cost him. You know, that I talked about the story being, you know, Rey having to hang in there, and eventually he was able to hang in there and not succumb to all of these near falls. And it was the frustration of Puma that cost him the match. We get a great, you know, post-match show of respect afterwards, showing that, you know, the beef was squashed. They had the match. You know, Rey earned Puma's respect, which again seems kind of weird, but that's the story that they were telling. And then, you know, Rey Mysterio, just a complete class act here. He leaves the ring and you know, leaves Puma to soak in the praise because it's, you know, really his arena, right? The Boyle Heights Temple. This match is just, it's superb. It lives up to the dream match build. So many cool spots, so much clean work. Just an absolutely incredible match. We talk about Lucha Underground all the time, having these great, you know, gimmick matches and these bloodbaths and things like that. But, you know, Lucha's in the name, and this was just a great example of, you know, a great Lucha Libre match, very much to the caliber that Rey Mysterio had in the 90s, but the fact that he was doing it 20 years later, again, another notch on that man's belt and another example as to why he's the greatest professional wrestler that ever lived. You can find this match, depending on where you live. Lucha Underground may be available on Tubi, but if not, you can find this stuff online. I mention it all the time. Do a quick Google search. These matches are out there on various streaming platforms. You can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube so that you never miss a video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50, and please join me again tomorrow as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50. Top 50.